I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to change up your home decor. This is a metal piece that I found at a thrift store. I actually had 5 of these at one time. They're very easy to find in the thrift store. And let me tell you, they're gorgeous when you paint them and make them pretty again. So I've decided to go ahead and give her a little bit of an upcycle with some texture additive, some paint, and just a really quick makeover. Like, it's not going to take more than 20 minutes to do this entire project, and this is in real time. So I went ahead and washed it first, and I wash every single thing before I paint. The reason I do this is because you're not sure where it was. And even if it's in your own home, believe it or not, grease and grime get on items that you have hung up and you don't even know it. And paint doesn't really like to stick to grease and grime. So we have a cleaner. It's called White Lightning. It's by Dixie Belle. It's a granular cleaner. It's a little container that you can put a couple teaspoons into some water, wash it down, and then you can basically rinse that off and you will get a really clean surface to start paint with. Whether it's home decor or furniture, it doesn't matter. I do the same steps with every single piece that I paint. So if you follow the same steps, you will always have a successful finished product. So I decided to take some dark brown paint. I'm actually using Coffee Bean from Dixie Belle. You can use any kind of chalk paint. And I'm taking my Salt Wash. Salt Wash is a texture additive. It's a powder. Comes in a container. I do have all this stuff on my website for you guys too. But you pour a little bit into a container and you pour some paint in and you mix it up and you get that consistency that you want. So just depending on what consistency you're going for, I usually go for a brownie substance type thick brownie mix. That's kind of what I go for when I'm doing it on a piece of furniture or home decor, because I love texture, and texture and paint just go so well together. So we're going to mix this up and get the paint incorporated. Where do I put that? Leave it right there, silly. Into the salt wash and mix it up so we can get a consistency that will work really good on this piece. And so that the bristles aren't super flexible. Paint not a brush I would use to blend with or something like that. Just mix it up. But a brush that just, when you pounce it, I will tell you, I can tell right away that it didn't put enough paint in here. It just gives you little tiny peaks and valleys, and that's called. You could save this too. So say you made way too much, and with the salt wash texture, it'll stay for a few days. It will eventually get rock hard. It will say. So that's like concrete, solid, right? It's hard. Not going to move. It's put a little more paint because the stuff, and I will tell you that the salt wash just makes it super. It's one of those things that you just gotta kind of eyeball. Pouncing motions. Either add more salt wash if it's not thick enough, or add more paint. Of this, somebody had attempted to paint this before very badly with like never mixed the right amount. It was pretty bad. But so I'm just gonna kind of go over. So mix it up really well. The whole thing. When you get to that, just stipple the whole thing with my. You're gonna go ahead and use it in Dixie Belle's stippling motion in salt wash and just kind of tap. Grabbing a brush that has. Just do it, over the whole piece. This is already going to transform it. You could just leave it like this if you wanted to, but we don't do that. We never just leave anything. So you can see I'm covering just kind of, and even if I don't hit, I wasn't sure if I had enough, I will go back over it and add more. Even if I don't hit every single little thing, who cares? Because the colors that are on there, I'm going to be using some yellows and off-white on this. Leaves don't have to be green. Going into the fall, you could paint it with red leaves or orange leaves or yellow leaves. I mean, you could change it for the seasons. That's the great thing about, this $5 thrift store find. You could repaint it as many times as you want to suit your home decor. That's what's brilliant about buying the chalk paint, because you need such little amount to update your home decor items. Once you get a few primary colors, then you can mix colors to make more colors, right? That's the best part. So you can always find something to do, right? So if you wanted to lighten this, you could add It's a pretty dark brown. Some like of a beige color. You can just, you can do whatever you want. You could add some red and then add some blue and make like a eggplant color. I mean, the options are endless. Now, with the texture medium, the salt wash that you've added to your paint, it really does need to dry before you get to the next step. If you tried to paint over this immediately, it would just kind of smush and run it. So you just need to grab a heat gun or a blow dryer and blow dry your piece. The texture does take a little bit longer to do. If I wasn't filming this, I probably would just set it aside for a couple hours and let it dry naturally. That's usually what I do when I'm in the workshop. But for video purposes, I'm going to go ahead and grab my blow dryer. It takes a couple minutes and just, or a heat gun. At the time, I didn't have, my heat gun was broken, so I used a blow dryer to do this video. But, I'm still pouncing a little bit of that brown paint. You can see it doesn't take a lot. I only use like a couple squeezes of that paint. Literally a couple squeezes out of my bottle. And that's, you guys don't need, you can buy 4-ounce jars of paint and probably have plenty if you're doing little home decor items, right? You need a lot more, obviously, if you're going to do a dresser or something like that. A lot of times if I mix up too much paint, I'll just grab something else that needs to be painted, like a candlestick or a frame, and I will just add texture to that and get myself going. That way I don't have to waste it. I will caution you to be careful if you have a bunch of extra paint that's mixed with salt wash, that you don't pour it down your sink. Because of the fact that it dries super rock hard, it could cause problems with your plumbing, and you don't want to do that. That's just common sense. So we're going to go ahead and dry this puppy real quick. Like I said, I didn't have my heat gun that day. It was broken. So I'm using my blow dryer. It takes a little bit longer. But you just want it so that when you touch it, the paint doesn't come off onto your hands or your fingers. And pretty simple, quick way to dry it. But like I said, in real life, if I was not doing a video, I probably just would have waited, set it aside, did another project, and came back to it. Now, many of you live in an area where humidity is super high. So you may have much longer dry times. I am very fortunate. I am in Idaho. Idaho has 0 humidity. And when we do, we think we're going to die. Like, if it's like a thunderstorm in the summer. So bless your hearts when you live in the humidity, because we have very dry heat. We are high desert. So we really don't have to deal with that. So just take it into consideration that I have dry heat. If you are in high humidity, paint times will definitely vary. How quickly your paint dries. I'm sure you have tricks that I have no idea about how to get something to dry when you have that high humidity where you live. Bless your hearts for you if you do, because I don't know how you deal with it. We have 100-degree weather, but it's 0% humidity, so it's very tolerable. So anyhow, so just hit it however you need to do it, whether it be a heat gun, a blow dryer, whatever your climate dictates for that, because we are going to add some dry brushing. So the next component that we're going to do is we're going to grab some colors, and I had actually grabbed some yellow because I was in the yellow mode. I've been in the yellow mode lately, and decided that I would throw down some shades of yellow, which will be beautiful over this dark coffee bean brown, right? So I am going to grab a new container. I'm going to grab Colonel Mustard, which is actually a very bright yellow. This is a Dixie Belle chalk paint. And I put all my paint into 5-foot bottles because I paint so much. So you literally do not need but a touch of paint to do this. So like I said, you could just, in essence, buy a 4-ounce jar of paint and have plenty. So I'm going to load my brush and offload it. What that means is I'm going to put paint on it, and then I'm going to kind of tap it off onto a dry spot and really offload and really get that paint moving around in that brush. I'm kind of holding my brush at an angle, at like a 45-degree angle, so when I paint, I'm not just saturating it, because remember, there's texture. So when we do that, we're actually just hitting the top of the textured part. So we're not just laying down tons of paint. We're dry brushing this yellow. You don't need a lot, you guys. We're just dry brushing the bright yellow over the top. We are going to keep building and changing and lightening up the color. So the kernel mustard is the first one. It is the brightest. So we're going to load, offload, and then kind of lightly, not using a lot of force, just go over what it's doing. And I wish I would have zoomed in, is the textured areas of that I just put the salt wash on. That paint is just kind of grabbing to that textured parts. You still want the brown to show through. That's the secret. You don't want to saturate every single little thing in paint. You want to just kind of highlight it. You can also offload your brush by wiping it on a paper towel, or like I did on my tablecloth. Any kind of thing like that. Something to just take the paint off so you don't have a ton of paint on your brush. That's the secret, my friends, is not a lot of paint. Just enough to just give it a little highlight. Because remember, we're going to layer it up. So we're going to add the kernel mustard first, which is the brightest of the colors. It already looks a million times better. These leaves are just gorgeous, and they already look like something like a fall decor. They're going to already match everybody's decor. They're not going to look like, 1970s leaves that we forgot about. Now we're going to grab a second color. This one is called Rebel Yellow. It is a buttery yellow. It's in the Dixie Belle line, and we're just going to lightly go over the brighter yellow that we put on originally and just kind of highlight it. It's all about the layers, and the layers are what makes everything just pop. Just a little bit of paint. You can see the brighter yellow, a little bit of Rebel Yellow, right over the top. It's a very soft, buttery yellow. And then all of a sudden you've got layers. So you've got the first layer with the dark brown and the texture. You've got the second layer with the brighter yellow, and then we toned her down with the Rebel Yellow, which is just a lighter, softer, it's like a butter. It's a buttery color. One of my favorite colors that they have. It only comes in a 4-ounce size. I do have another paint line, mud paint, that has a color called Butternut, which is very similar, and now one of my favorite yellows. So we're just quickly going over. We're not going to take a lot of time, but look at how pretty that is now. That has added so much depth and drama to this piece that you couldn't see before, right? Textures flipping amazing. I'm going to show it to you guys up close so you can see how it would look on the wall, over the dresser. You can put it on there. You can hang it straight up and down. I will tell you that this piece sold in a day. So it's really fun to just update your decor. Just think outside of the box. Grab all those metal pieces, update them, paint them, texture them. Because when you texture them, guess what happens? The paint doesn't slide off. It doesn't come off. It's fabulous. So you can paint the back too if you want, but really it's going to be hung on the wall. But do you see how beautiful that is with the texture? It was just a little bit of work. It wasn't a ton, you guys. Look at how pretty it is. Now we're going to hang it on the wall and be like a voila. Like it can go anywhere, on top of anything. Look at how beautiful it is. So now add it to your home decor. Get to working. You guys subscribe if you need any products that I had on here today. Go to tonatransformations.com. I do next day shipping on all my paint orders. Okay, you guys, as I always say, go out and be fabulous. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.